Oh, I was kind of hoping that was going to keep going.
It's a good song, isn't it?
It is.
It's a good song that fits us pretty well, I think. A good friend of mine who is the founder and the bass guitarist of Inca's Witch did that song. And when it came out, I was like, I want the song. Can I have this song too? So with his permission, I get to have it. So I'm really blessed with that because it's just perfect.
Yeah, the words are perfect. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. Perfect. So, hello everybody. Welcome to Within the Cauldron. We have my lovely sister here tonight. She's kind of jet lagged, but she's here.
I believe I did it. I pulled it off.
And tonight we have our good friend Michael Kopf, who has studied UFO, paranormal, paganism. He is a paranormal investigator and a podcaster. So please welcome Michael.
Yay!
Welcome.
Thank you for having me, and I'm so excited the date finally came. I for the past couple of months been looking and going, I know I had Medium Red on, and we talked about doing a show. Is this it? Is this it? No. Now it is.
You know, we actually get that a lot. A lot of people is like, I'm excited. I want to do it right now. And it's like, hang on. You get there, but we do a lot of shows though too. So we're just crazy, I guess.
I came back and I was looking, I was trying to see if I had the time right. And I was looking at, Within the Cauldron, and I'm like, oh boy. I'm like, tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday.
It's like, when do I breathe? But, we have our vacation time coming up in September. So we're going to go one show, and hopefully that's all we do for that month at least. Right. So we need a break. Actually,
I saved my break for the end of the year.
Well, we'll have that too.
Yeah, we will.
Unless somebody wants to fill the slot, we'll see.
Well, as a podcaster, Michael, you probably know that some of the guests is like, I want this time. I don't want this time. I want this time. I want now. And you kind of like, okay. We kind of squeeze you in there. That's where we come up with. Our guest wants to come on like right now. And it's like, not August, not September, not October. So we have to kind of squeeze everybody in, which is fine, because I look at it this way. We want to accommodate them when they can. We really want them on the show. So, if they really want to come on, we're going to accommodate. We're going to be flexible as hell to bring them on the show. Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh yeah. I mean, within reason. I mean, I for a while I was like, well, my life right now is I'm in a holding period of something, so I'll do shows, and next thing I know, it's like doing 5 a week, and I'm like, from coming from normally doing 2 to 3 a week, I was like, oh good God, I can't keep this pace up, and I need to cut back. And the problem is you have set in motion of all these things, and now it's like you try to curl it back, and everyone's like, but
yeah,
and it's like, all right, and so I've gone to where I start doubling up in the day, and it's like, fortunately, sometimes it's like in the morning and at night, so I'm like, okay, I got the afternoon to chill, or it's the afternoon and then the evening, so I'm like, yeah, I got the morning, and I have the schedule where I don't have to get up super early every day, so it's like if I go till 11, 12 o'clock at night, I'm like, I just sleep in longer, that's all.
Yeah.
I don't have to worry about it.
Oh yeah, we done some back-to-backs.
We've got some back-to-backs this week.
Oh yeah. So but it kind of fits in to the schedule and everything. So, of course, Medium Red and we talk every day. So we always up to date on each other. What we're going to do? Do we need time off? Are we going on vacation, etc.? So, yeah,
Right.
it helps. That really helps a lot when you have a close contact with your co-host too, as well. So, but speaking of your podcast, how long have you been podcasting?
Wow. So I originally actually started podcasting in 2022, but my friend and I, we viewed that 6 months as, because we had to start in July before Meta, because the network said, there was going to be an issue with getting us on the network page due to Meta. So we needed to start early. And so we raced it in and got it started, and we started podcasting. And at the end of the year, 6 months into it, we were like, we got to change the name. We got to change how we're doing this. We got to change pretty much virtually everything. And we're like, yeah, I agree. And so that's how my show, The Energy That Surrounds Us, got started. And the funny thing about it is, I don't even think that was the title that we had agreed on. It just, I went and wrote the first, thumbnail ad, and I was like, hey, everybody, the premiere of The Energy That Surrounds Us is happening on this date. And I was like, oops, wrong name. Well, it's our name now because it's too late now. It's out. And it actually works. And it actually worked. And I think the title that, if memory serves right, we were originally going to run with is The Energy Around Us. So I didn't change too much of it, but it was kind of funny that it was like, oh yeah, that wasn't the title, but it is now. And so that show started then in 2023, and it's in its fourth season now.
Wow.
And then in August of 2023, I started my other show, Riding Through the Unknown, as a tribute to my father who passed away that June. And I actually launched that show with the intention of, it's either going to make or break. And I planned on doing 10 shows, ended up doing 11. But when it came time to premiere, I had 3 shows scheduled, and was like, and next thing I know, it was like, oh, the schedule filled up really quick. And I was like, oh, thank God, because I was like, I didn't know who to reach out to or anything about it for that show. And so both shows have been going. They're into their 4th season, and
Wow.
I'm excited about it. And as you were talking about doing like multiple shows, I just was looking the other day at where I'm at with my shows, and my goal is to do at least 52 episodes, one a week for the year.
Oh.
I'm like, that's a pretty, good goal.
Mm-hmm.
Well, on Riding Through the Unknown, I'm at 50 starting this week.
Oh, wow.
And The Energy That Surrounds Us will be at like 52, I think, in August. And so I'm like,
What happened?
it's like I've done a year's worth in like 6 months. So
Wow.
what am I going to do now with the rest of the time? And it's like, do I cut, give myself a lot of time off, and like you're saying, and just do this or that, or
Mm-hmm.
keep going and try to hit 100? But I'm like, I don't like to like push myself though to like hitting, like, say, oh, let's do 100 as a goal, because next year I may not do like 5 episodes a week like I did for a couple of weeks, 1 month. And so it's going to be like, oh man, I'm not hitting that mark. I'm behind on that mark, and I need to get caught up. And it's like, I don't want that stress. So
Yeah.
I tend to make each season its own entity, and it all goes the way it goes. And the kind of comical thing is, one, network that I upload episodes to, Podbean. When I go to upload it, it'll start off like, "Oh, is this episode 67? Is this episode 68?" And I'm like, "I can hit that mark." And last year was 65, and so I'm like, I was like, "Oh, so I kind of view as a little bit of fun of, what's Podbean's mark going to be this year?
Yeah.
Can I
Yeah.
hit that mark? Yeah, okay." And so as long as they don't make it extreme, I'm like going 105. I'm like, yeah, you're on your own there. Not going that far.
So 200, like we're talking about, like I can
Yeah.
see, Michael
Yeah,
says going poof.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, because we'll be approaching a 200 episode, which is going to be our anniversary episode, the second year anniversary, the end of next month. And I'm thinking, man, we did probably 100 last year and 100 this year. I was like, if we keep going, it'd be like 8 shows a month,
Yeah.
which is pretty much our norm. And
Yeah.
then it's like, why are we doing this? We're not trying to improve to get a lot of shows. It just happens,
Yeah. We just
Meeting
have
Red
faith
gets
in.
gas. Yeah. She gets
yeah.
gas. I get gas. My daughter gets gas. And then all of a sudden it's like all these guests wants to just boom, slam us. And,
All
you
at
know,
once.
we hate to say no because you may not get them again. So,
Right,
Right.
exactly.
so we kind of punish ourselves actually. But
Yep.
Well, one thing I will suggest for you is keep some of them on the side. Like, and I know it sounds weird saying that, like a side piece, but
yeah.
what it is, I have occasionally guests that will call up and be like, "Hey, I'm sick. I've been trying to get better. I can't make it tonight." And so I'm like, "No, go take care of yourself. Let's not
Mhm.
push the episode." And I will call up friends and I'm like, "Hey, I got a opening tonight, short notice. Are you available?" And they'll be like, yes or no. And if it's a no, I sit there and I'm like, yeah, I can do an episode myself, just update everybody what's going on,
Yeah.
or talk about, create a topic, or I can just skip it and do it another day. But I always put my guests first, and I
Yeah.
don't
You should.
ever, force them to do an episode because we agreed the episode would air this day, this time. I'm like, hey, if you got a family emergency or you're sick, you
Hmm.
go take care of you,
Yep.
and the show will survive.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. We've run into that as well.
Oh,
In
yeah.
fact, that's, we had somebody that didn't show up, what was it, a couple months ago, and we had Sid Ryder on. And it was one of the
Yeah.
best shows we did, actually, compared to who we were going to have. It was perfect.
Yeah, it was. I mean, we just drag anybody on sometimes. We don't really have a set shows like Tuesdays and Thursdays or anything. We did at first, but then the guest is like, I can't do it Thursday, I can't do it Tuesday, I can do it Wednesday or Monday. We try to stay away from weekends because we both have family and that's family time unless we have to. If we really have to, then we will do weekends. But yeah, we doesn't have anything set. We're kind of like all over the place.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It works for us. So hey, until somebody starts complaining, then we might change it or something. But so
Well,
far, okay.
yeah. Well, I used to try to change things every season, and my cousin that does all my graphics and intros and outros, he would get annoyed with me because he'd be like, "All right, what are we doing? Why are we doing this?" And I was like, and I always was of the opinion, I need to change it up because this way, when somebody asks me, like, "Oh, when was Medium Red on your show?" I'll be like, "Well, what was the background of her thumbnail?" "Oh, that was this season." I could determine right away
Mhm.
oh, that's this season, so that would be this year, year such and such, and I could easily recall. But
Yeah.
then he was like, "Yeah, but you realize the only thing that's remains the same is the theme song to the intro and outro, and so nobody's gonna recognize your show offhand.
Yeah.
You need to stop making changes." And so I was like, all right, so before we launched this season, I was like, all right, we're not going to change this show, we're not going to change this show's background, we're just going to update this and tweak the intros and outros a little bit. And then he comes up to me and he goes, okay, I got to show you something. And I go, what? And he goes, maybe we should use this for the thumbnail. And I'm like, okay. And so he showed it to me, and it's the background I use right now for the energy that surrounds us. And I started laughing at him as I'm looking at it. And he goes, yes, I know. I just told you to stop changing things, and I'm making a change. I said, yes, you are. But I like it, so we're going to go with it. But
Sometimes change is good. We just changed our opening too as well.
Mhm.
So
yeah.
Yeah.
And one of
Yeah.
the
Change
funny
is
thing
good.
was, yeah, and I used to put down the show title, the season number, and the date and time of the episode. And I said to my cousin this time, I go, everybody keeps saying, we should put topics, on the thumbnails, but where could we? And he looks at me and he goes, this is the fourth year of you doing your show. You always do it on the same night. So do we really need to keep telling people at this point, this is the date of the show? Because chances are, if they don't know it and they stumbled on it, they know.
they'll figure
And
it out.
so you don't need it. And so I was like, all right. So we eliminated the date and time and we put the topic down. And I started actually realizing when I have repeat guests, like for like this season, if I repeat someone,
Hmm.
I go, do you want to just reuse the thumbnail that we used before? And I'm like, it's totally just copyable. I can
Right.
just
Yeah.
post
It's
it
easy.
up again. And I'm like, it's still relevant. And I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, God, this saves so much time because I don't have to go through. Because Medium Red will tell you is I have a tedious process of she sends me photos and logos and stuff, and then I put it together, and she's like, well, I don't really like this, can we do this instead? And I will go back and forth, and then when she goes, I love this one, I'm like, that's the thumbnail we use then. It's like I don't make it public until the time
Sorry,
of,
puppy.
but yeah. And so, and that's one thing that I think too that's different for me. And I've had somebody who is in the paranormal field that's has a job in advertising and actually told me my thumbnails are designed wrong. And
Oh,
I go, what do you mean? And he goes, well, it should be your face, your logo, and just the name of your guest. They're tuning in to watch you. And I go, no, they're not. They're tuning in to watch my guest. My
yeah.
guest is the forefront of my show, not
Yeah.
me.
Right.
And he goes, oh, well, then you're doing it right.
I was going to say, boy, Chrissy and I have been doing it wrong then.
Yeah.
We'll put within the cauldron, but we'll put,
Yeah.
we put your thumbnail up there and your
Yeah.
bio and stuff like that. So,
People knows what we look like anyway.
yeah,
So,
exactly.
so I think it's like you said, it's the guest that's really the most important. You want to promote them, get them out there in the open so people would know. Seeing our face would be like, yeah, we've seen those faces before. So
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
so, but speaking of the paranormal, because I know your heart is in that area, but you also do UFOs. So would you say you like the UFO aspect of yourself or the paranormal aspect of yourself?
Well, actually, so my paranormal background is it's a little bit different. That's why I'll call myself the metaphysical paranormal investigator because I don't look at the paranormal as okay, we're going to go look at ghosts or spirits or a haunted location or a haunted building. I'm like, it's anything that's unexplained. So, UFO in the sky, that's paranormal to me. So, I group it into the same category and like portals and stargates, all kinds of things. I will be like, this is my investigation avenue. So, let me go check it out and investigate it. So, I would say long way around it, but to answer your question, Chrissy, I'm actually both.
Well, that's good. I mean, when somebody asked me that question, this really, I had different sides. I think I have different sides. That's the great thing about diversity. We're very diverse in so many ways. We try to keep everything balanced within our podcast, within our life, with the witchiness, the UFO, the paranormal, the cryptids, everything. We have our days that we do this, our days we do that. So we use the time management to kind of like, this is for this is for this, and this is for that. Yeah, so it is a hard question. But since I was raised up as a witch, I have to say that's probably my best aspect right there, because I know
Right.
it inside and out. The cryptids, the paranormal, it's not new to me, but it's like 20 years in. Cryptids, it's pretty new to me. It's probably like maybe 10 years in. So, you know, but the witchcraft, yeah, it's there. So,
Yeah, and for me, it's kind of funny because originally started out when I did my shows, I was like, this one's paranormal, this one is esoteric. And I would keep them separated. And I would be like, okay, when I get the guests' topics or the guest's bio, I'm like, that determines what show you're going to be on. Great. Well, now I have to be honest, is I'm like, yeah, I don't know how I met. I got like one guest who's normally going to be my Wednesday night show is now my Tuesday night guest. And I'm like, oh, how did that happen? And I'm like, hey, you know what? It's probably divine order. So I'm going to leave it alone and I'm not going to start, redoing things and
yeah.
making last minute changes and being like, oh, you actually should be over here. And I'm going to change this thumbnail and change this show title. And I'm like, nope, I just,
Mm,
there's a reason it went that way. So I'm just going to trust in that. And
yeah.
I just, there are days though where I look at my schedule and I'm like, wow, I can't believe like when I was starting out, in February, March, going, wow, I'm booked out till July already. Wow. How cool is that? But then, like you're saying, you get people who message you and you're like, hey, it's been a while since we've been on. I really want to get this message out. Are you available?
Hmm.
And I kind of, will sit there and go, well, I'm really not available until August, but are you available this day? And I will start offering off dates. And it's like, and Medium Red, I had her episode on a Monday, and I'm like, Tuesday nights or Wednesday nights are my show nights. And so and she was like, hey, can we come on? Can I come on? Can we do this, this day? And I'm like, all right, we can do a Monday. Or I'll be like, okay, we can do a Thursday.
And you actually, it was kind of funny because I remember you reached out to me to be on your show like months in advance. And I
Yeah.
was like so appreciative of that because it's like, yep, here it is. I'll put it on the calendar and I know it's coming up. So that was great.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because I also know, like my schedule, being booking already July, I'm like, these people have conferences. These people, have their own shows. They have their own, you know, doings that they go on. And so to be respectful, I'm like, hey, are you free a couple months in advance? Can we work this in? And if they're like, yeah, I can totally do that, or no, I can't, that's showtime. And I'm like, all right, so when are you free? And I'll have them give me dates, and I'm like, okay, this day works for me, so yeah, we're gonna do this date.
Yeah. It's we start out as just doing all witchy stuff, and then it's like, it just doesn't, it's great, but we want an audience for everything. So then we started the paranormal, the cryptids, just the unknown. So we like every place, but with authors, because there's a lot of authors we have on too, they want to pick their date because the books are coming out that day, or I mean that month or something, or a month ahead
Right.
of time. So they want to, because we have a lot of guests that says, you guys are listening to this first. This, I'm telling you guys first, which is a privilege to us because we're like, oh, we're so fortunate to have that. We are
That
telling you guys
honor.
first.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
And
What an
they would
honor.
tell us, and then we was like, oh yeah, we get really excited because we are the first podcast that they're telling this on. So it's kind of new to us as well as to the audience. And it's nice because then the audience is like, oh yeah, I just heard this on Within the Cauldron. This new book is coming out, or this is coming out. And then with pagan authors and stuff, they have events that they go to a lot, especially the summertime. And that's where they make the money too, doing workshops and book signing and everything. So that's where we kind of, I'm glad we have the paranormal and cryptids and unknown because we can squeeze them in at at those
Yeah.
points. So that's really good. I guess it's working for us because for 2 years it's been working.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I've had a question, Michael, is in relationship to the UFOs. And I loved because you and I talked about that too, about the parallelism of between the paranormal, anything metaphysical, UFOs is considered paranormal as well. So, yeah, and I'm trying to think of how to phrase this question, but do you feel that when you're in looking at the skies, do you feel like that you see also spirits that are in the sky as opposed to UFOs instead of it being a UFO?
That's an interesting question. I'm not sure I've ever really thought about it,
Because
but
because
well, actually, wait a minute. So I actually can answer this. Now that thinking about it, is when I was on my road trip in 2025, I went to Utah to visit a guest of mine, Madelle Niff, and she and I were talking about, like you can see stuff like spirits in the eye, or spirits are up in the sky, when we can call them in and stuff. And I was like, really? That'd be really cool. And so we actually did, to where I went to a like little like kind of pondish reservoirish area near our hotel in Utah, and she was doing her thing, I was doing my thing, and we're photographing the sky, photographing the stuff that's going on around us. And what was interesting is I noticed at one point, you know how we say water moves in different ways. Well,
Mhm.
in this one confined area, I was noticing at the same time water moving four different ways and thinking in my head, something's going on. I've never seen water going four different ways in a confined area when nothing is being done to the water.
Right.
It's like we're not throwing anything in the water, and so
And there wasn't a current. It's not like as if you could say like, oh, there's an undertow or a current that's causing it to do that either.
right.
Mhm.
And so I started, like looking around, what's going on, and I kind of started to notice in like certain spots ground cracks, and it always will create some like little deal. But at one point I remember looking in the water and thinking, this ground crackage looks like a symbol. It doesn't look like nature just went in and carved it, and it is kind of shallow, but still I'm not going in the water to see really what's going on there. And I noticed a stick by this symbol. And what was interesting about this stick is I could see the point of the stick is at an angle, and it's like at a 45 underwater.
Hmm.
And I'm like, and I'm looking at it. At first, I thought, oh, that stick is probably, buried under the ground and I just not noticing it, or something's floating on the water that's allowing this. And then I realized, no, there is no part of the stick under the dirt. The dirt is solid underneath it. Wait, the stick's not even coming out of the water.
Holy cow.
And so I was like, how is that at a 45? Well, I photographed it and I was like, okay, let's go like look at the sky now. And one of the things that was interesting is when you're sky watching during the day or at night, you're looking at for like, you have to feel when to take the photo. You can't just
Mhm.
go and randomly take photos and be like, oh yeah, look, I got this or I got that, because you're going to waste your battery. And not only that, but your card space if
Right.
you're using a camera. And so I always will sit there and I'll be like, well, I'm going to take a photo here. And I'll look at the photo and I'll be like, oh, well, nothing's there. Well, I show it to Medell and I'm like, hey, I kind of got the feeling of looking at this. And she goes, oh, really? Because I took a photo and, same place. And I see her like zooming in, like really zooming in on like certain spots, and is like, look at what's here, look at what's there. And I'm like, dude, that looks like a guy standing on a cloud. That is really cool.
Wow.
And so then I was like, I would start doing, like I would get like the sun beaming right behind a cloud, how it creates that aura
Mhm.
look. And I'm like, well, why did I take a picture of this? And so I did what she did. I zoomed in and I was like, hey, wait a second, what is that? And I start noticing like what looks like could be a person or an ET or something in the sky on a cloud. And I'm
Wow.
like, I can't make this up because I'm like zooming in and I'm like,
Right.
there's no way I could even, like, if I wanted to copy and paste like somebody onto that cloud to make it blend like this. I mean, it like literally is like a speck that's probably like this tall. And when you zoom in, it makes it look this tall and you can
Right.
get more detail. But I'm like, I wouldn't even know where to put it to like make that up, but it was interesting how it would be in some photos and some photos it wouldn't, and I would be like, well, I still got a really cool photo of this or that. But yeah, and what was interesting is she showed me a technique where I don't recommend this to doing this often, but like I put my cell phone like right here
Mm-hmm.
and took a photo of my eye.
Oh,
And when you do that, if you when I did it, it's I could zoom in on the iris, the color
Mhm.
part, and I would see like it looked like two people standing next to each other in my eye, and I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like,
wow.
what is what's being and my first thought was, okay, skeptic. Something, walked, by me and the phone picked it up and reflected it in my eye.
Right.
Mhm.
Then I realized my phone was this far from my eye. So anything walking behind me would not appear
Right.
on the camera.
Yeah.
Right.
The camera is reflecting what's literally right on my face. And so I was like, dude, what are those two people? What do you mean there's two people in my eye,
Right.
residing in my eye? What? And and I had to sit with that for a little while, thinking about that because I'm like, am I comfortable with something living in my eye? And then it's like now she's like, if I ever ask her, she's like, hey, do a video of it. But it's a little bit harder to do video because it's like your natural instinct is to start trying to moving the eye around
Right.
because
You can't
you're
make it
moving the phone
stay.
around.
Right.
But
So
it,
we have some questions from the audience. Whoops, that's ours, not mine. Here, there we go. Who is on your bucket list for a guest?
that's a good question because if you asked me in the very beginning, I would say people like Brian Cano, Kathy, um, or Cindy, not Kathy, Cindy Kaza,
Syndicaza.
or
Okay.
Kiza, the Jason Hawes, Steve Gonzalez, the Tennessee Wraith Chasers. Although I think they just call themselves the Wraith Chasers now, and pretty much anybody on TV. But now I will admit, now I would say my guest bucket list would be whoever wants to be on because
Yeah.
being on it for 4 years and doing it, I'm having some of the bucket list people on my shows. I realized, you know, in the end, everybody's equal. They're
Mm-hmm.
a
Yeah.
person just like everybody else. And
Mhm.
so I started to take the standpoint, of season 3, season 4, the standpoint of, and everybody's like, you should, get more celebrities on your show. And I'm like, everybody that's on my show is a celebrity.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And everybody, and if I got, Brian Kano or Mustafa Galatori, to come on,
Hmm.
I'd be like, cool. If I got Medium Red to come on, I'd be like, cool. Or Christy, I'd be like, cool. And they're like, well, how are they the same? I'm like, because they're all guests on my show.
Yeah.
And the only thing that makes them more popular than others is, you're putting a show title behind someone's name or something. And that, to me, I'm like, that's just, a show
That's just
title.
that's just
Yeah.
experiences that they've had. I
Yeah.
kind of classify as experiences. So
But
I'm with that too. I mean, I have to say, I was just to add to that. It was you kind of see these celebrities on TV, and people do kind of put them in a higher echelon.
Mhm.
On a pedestal. But I told you I was at the Palmer House, last weekend for,
Right.
my last. It was like literally my last like mediumship class with Cindy Keza for a 6-month intensive mentorship program, and walk into the Palmer House and there's Dave Schrader sitting at the desk checking me in. I mean, it's like it just kind of went, Dave. I just
And
expect him to be sitting there, checking people into the hotel. But again, that whole
Mhm.
concept, somebody being in TV. I spent 4 days with him. He's just a fabulous person, and he's very
Yeah.
humble and just very nice.
yeah, and I've met like Mustafa and a lot of the new Ghost Hunters crew, the newer show version. And what was funny is everybody knew that I watched the show, and so they were like, "Oh, I can't wait to see Michael because he's the paranormal investigator, and here's the TV celebs, coming into town to do this or that." And I would walk up and I'd be like, "Oh wow, hey Mustafa, great, to see you. How's it going?" And
Mhm.
being the first time meeting him, and I would be like, and then when he walked away, I would be like, and when he's out of sight, I'm like, "Oh my god, I can't believe I just talked to Mustafa." And it's like I would gobsmack, you
Yeah.
know, or sometimes before a show, I'd be like, I just want to get this out of my system. I can't believe I'm actually talking to you. I've seen you on this show or that show.
Mhm.
Wow. And I'm like, I get it out of my system. And then as we're going through the show, it's like, I'm talking to just a normal person.
Yeah.
And everyone's
Well,
like, "Are you so collected?" I'm like, "Oh, believe me, I lost it before the show. I lost it after the show, but I kept it during the show. And I don't make myself like in front of somebody could be like the groupie, ooh, ah, kind
yeah.
of deal. But I will admit, there is a factor though to me as well with bucket list guests. If you approach me, I will tend to bend over backwards a little bit more than my guests that I approach because I take the standpoint, oh my God, you had
Mhm.
how many podcast shows out there and you approached me? Oh, yeah. When are you available? Because I will make it a special night just if I have to get you on. Because I'm
Right.
like, wow, this person reached out to me. And
Yeah.
I had an instance where I had a guest on my show, like, I think season two. And she approached me and she's like, "Hey, you know, have you done a show about this topic?" And I'm like, "No, you want to do one?" Yeah. So we created a special 1 hour episode around that topic. And it
Nice.
to me, that was such a special episode because she was like, "Yeah, I enjoy being on your show so much that you're the first person that kind of popped in my head of doing this, and I'm glad it worked out." And I was like, "Yeah, I'm glad I went the extra, mile to make that one happen." And so there's like, it feels a little bit more special than other episodes when those happen because there's the aura of this person could have gone anywhere, but they chose me.
Right.
And so that
Mhm.
says a lot about what I'm doing. It says a lot about, the quality of the show that I'm putting out, how the guests are enjoying it. And so I'm like, cool. And I even had another guest who was like on like a couple weeks before, and she said, "My guides told me I needed to do an episode talking about this. Are you game? You're the first name that came in mind because we recently did this." I was like, "Yeah, let's do it." And we put it on, and it was a phenomenal show, and we went back and forth and talking about topics. And so I really, get a feel of, it's easy as a podcast host, and I'm sure Chrissy and Medium, you guys have gotten here too, where you reach a
Mhm.
point where you're like, oh my God, I'm starting to feel overwhelmed, overworked. Why am I doing this? What's the point? Is this really making a difference? And then you get one of those that says, hey, I was just recently on. I want to do this. Can we
Mhm.
do it? You're the first person I'm asking. You're like, yeah, screw all that I was feeling before. I'm right back in the game because they just
Right,
recharged
Yeah.
me in 1 second.
right.
Mhm. Oh yeah, we have several people who has come on more than just once, and or come on because they got something to say. They want to announce something, and so yeah, it does make you feel like, okay, what I am doing as a podcaster is good, is a good purpose and everything.
It's making a
I'm helping
difference.
everybody to get everything out there.
Yeah, and I mean, I get comments, I'm starting to now about how they're like, oh, why did you do this? Why did you do that? And I'm like, I'm one person. I'm doing the best I can, and I'm trusting my gut, my intuition, and it's gotten me this far. And so,
And the
sorry
bottom
this
line
one
is
didn't go well for you, but
you're a podcast
uh,
too.
yeah, I'm like, I'm gonna trust my gut over you guys because I thought about this actually for a couple of days of, do I take, a guest opinion to heart or what? And I was like, well, if I let one guest change the show or what show I do, then what's to stop the next person and the next
Right.
person? And I have just given away full power of my show to
Mhm.
one comment. And so I'm not saying I don't take to heart what, people are saying. It's just I'm going to in the end follow my intuition and my gut over what your comment says because I'm doing this now 4 years, and if I had, let's say I'm at like almost 200 episodes each show, something's being done right. If it's
Exactly.
taking you 4 years to say, what are you doing?
Yeah,
You shouldn't be doing this.
yeah,
And so I'm like, I'm going to trust my gut. And, maybe I may think a little bit about, do I want to approach that topic? Maybe not so much. But I'm not going to let
right.
it deter me from inviting somebody on. Now, with that being said, though, if I am, doing a show and somebody starts making comments and I'm like, hey, wait a minute, you're taking this show in a place I don't take any of my shows. I'm like, don't be surprised if you don't get asked back. And it's
Yeah.
nothing against you. It's just your kind of platform doesn't match my kind of platform. And so
Mhm.
we're not always going to mix and we're not always going to gel. And some people may really enjoy the person. And I'm like, hey, I didn't really hit it off well with them. And I'm the host. So
Yeah,
if I
that
don't hit it off well with the guest,
happens. I think that
sorry.
happens a lot
I know.
across the board for podcasters, you know. I mean, Christy and I have experienced it as well, unfortunately.
Yeah, I know there'd be a guest coming on. I'm like so excited, I think the last guest we had on was Matthew Burr for Vampire for Transylvania Dracula Society. I'm a big Dracula fan. I mean, yeah. So it was, to me, this is like, oh my god, this is like my bucket list too. But then somebody
Right.
else comes on and it's like, oh yes, this is my bucket list. It's each guest brings something unique each time. that meeting Red and I is just like, oh my God, that was like went really well, you know.
Right.
So
Yeah.
yeah, we kind
It
of
went
start,
fast,
you know,
and then it
off.
also like, educated us. It's incredible.
Well, and one thing
Yeah.
I think I probably even said this to you, Medium, was, at the end of the shows, I'll be like, hey, I know we've only like hit the tip of the iceberg, or hey, there's so much more you can share, and hopefully we'll get you back
Mhm.
on. And then it's like a month or two goes by and I don't have them on. It's like either I'm already booked or I'm purposefully waiting because my mind, I'm like, okay, let's say Medium was on my show in June. And July, it's like, oh, I got an opening. Well, yeah, Medium did really well and we had a lot of fun, but if I have her on now, who's going to watch the episode last month? It's too
Mhm.
soon.
Right.
Where
Yeah.
if it's like August or September, I'm like, oh,
Yes.
I got an opening. Hey, I wonder if
Yeah.
Medium's available, and be like, hey, are you free? And I'll reach out then,
I
and
am
I
totally.
would. But that's why I put a gap of time between, is because I don't want one episode to overwrite the other episode, because
Right.
a lot of times I'll say, when a guest is back on, I'll be like, yeah, since you've already introduced yourself to the audience on this show, let's just jump in the topic. And somebody who's new is like, wait, what? And then going, oh, I didn't know I needed
Mhm.
to watch that episode because it was a month later. It's like, oh, I
Right.
need to watch this person because he says returning. Where did they return? Oh, here it is. I better go watch
Yeah.
that. That's
Right.
my theory behind it.
Yeah.
It drives us
Yeah,
up.
that's happened to us. You know,
Yeah.
with the Ouija board, we had two Ouija board. We had a panel, then we have Karen on too. So somebody would watch the second show and they're like, oh, I got to go and find this other woman because she came on before this. So they go back and watch it. And then I would get a notification like, this is back in way back when, can you ask Karen this question? Or can you ask Jonathan this question about the Ouija boards and stuff? And it's like, yeah, I will. Um, Same thing with Reverend E.J. James. She always had an open communication in case anybody had any questions that came up that saw the show afterwards. So guests like that are like, you know, $1 million because they're willing to keep the communication open with you in case anybody does come up with something they want to ask that guest that couldn't watch the live show, and that's nice. Having them come on is nice, but we both our heads at times.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we kind of remind each other, and then we forget, and we're like, "Oh, hey, wasn't this person supposed to come on this month?" They're like, yeah, we didn't, So yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's like
We play tag.
two
Yeah.
blind bonds leading each other.
Yeah, and I've been running my schedule kind of chaotically lately. I used to be better on top of it more, and I was looking at my schedule and I was like, okay, I got two shows on Tuesday, two on Wednesday, one on Thursday. Okay, I can breathe. I can get through this. And then I get a message from someone that says, hey, are we still on for Wednesday? And I'm like, what? And then
Yeah.
I go back and I look at the chat and I'm like, oh my God, how did I lose track of this one? And I'm like, yeah, fortunately, it was in a time slot that still fit. And so I was
Mhm.
laughing with a friend earlier today before we did I was on another interview. And because we were talking about our schedules, and he's like, yeah, I'm not used to doing two shows in a day. And I laughed and I said, well, I can beat you. I got 3 in one day. And he's like, oh my God. I was like, I know. This is not happening again. But I made the commitment. It was my mistake. And so I'm gonna honor it and I'm gonna do it. Unfortunately, it's like 10
Mhm.
o'clock and then 2 o'clock and then 8 o'clock. So it's like I got time in between to like kind of breathe and be like, okay. Whereas, I'm fortunate it's not like, okay, we got one show at 12, one show at 2, and one show at 4. And I'm like, oh my
Mhm.
God, I better, drink an energy drink that day because I'm going to need it because I'm going to be like so drained after this.
Well,
Yeah.
that's like, isn't it tomorrow? Is it tomorrow or Wednesday that we have 3?
I think it's Wednesday. Yeah, we have one tomorrow, then we have Wednesday. There's 3.
On Wednesday,
We
I
do
think,
have
right?
I think we do have 2 paranormal teams, and then
And then
then
we
we
have
have
Tuesday
one,
the
um,
Willows.
the Department of Defense, which is kind of like a political one, which
The
I'm
who?
mostly just hosting it. The DoD is the Department of Defense. Some stuff's happening with the religious codes of for military soldiers, where they can't choose. If you're pagan, you cannot choose a pagan minister.
Right.
They would give you like a Christian minister, and that was it. And they changed it a long time ago in 2007, and now they're kind of like backtracking it. So it's a big thing in the pagan community, and I got myself involved in it. Mostly because my husband is a ex-military. My whole family's military. I have
Oh,
quite a
well.
few. So,
I, I'm like, I'm like, how did you land the DOD? I was like, geez. I'm
it
like,
just kind
talk
of
about bucket list. I'm like, I
it
will
just kind of
totally
flew in
tell
my
you,
lap.
like, somebody in the White House would totally be on my bucket list that could tell me all about the ghosts there. I'd be
Oh
like,
yeah, that would be
well,
great.
that would be an awesome
Now that would
episode.
be a
But
bucket list place to
That
to
would be
do a paranormal
that
investigation.
would be a bucket. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. This is mostly just pagan leadership that pagan witches leadership, Druids and Buddhists, they all just come together, and they was looking for a platform, and I spoke up. Oh, hey, I'll help out, and you know now I'm helping out. So, which is
yeah,
fine. I'm not a political person, but this is something that does need to be aware of for everybody. So, I don't mind
yeah.
doing it. So,
I'm of age, so if y'all elect me the president, I will totally open the White House for investigation.
well, I don't think we have the president on or anything. This is probably the closest that we will ever get. Believe
No,
me.
I'm just, I was talking about Medium, saying, that'd be a great place to investigate. I'm like, yeah,
Yeah,
you make me the president, I'll, open the
Right
White
with
House
you.
up for
Bring
paranormal
him in.
investigations.
We'll
yeah.
have a conversation with Abe Lincoln.
Like,
That would be very intriguing. Very
It would
intriguing.
be
Yes.
very.
yeah, it
Yes.
wouldn't do much for the country, but the paranormal community would get a super high. I'd be
So we
like,
just have
yeah, the
Michael
government
as
still can
president.
wait. Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
president.
Yeah.
Yeah, the deals overseas can wait.
You know
What
what?
team's coming in
Yeah.
tonight?
We can write him in. We'll just write him in on the ballot. That's all you got to do. He'll be independent.
Yes. That's all. I'm
Yeah.
sure we can get enough between our podcast and yours. We can promote you enough, vote
Yeah,
for Michael.
exactly.
Oh God. I was just thinking about, with FDR, we had the fireside chats. Be
Yeah,
like weekly check-in from the White House
exactly.
podcast show.
Exactly. I think that'd be awesome.
This is the
That'd
ghost
be
that was seen
interesting.
this week, and he was seen in this room, and this room. And
It was wearing this and he was
Mhm.
saying this.
sighting
Yeah.
two.
These are the cameras in the room. have static cameras in there so we can watch it as a loop, all
Oh,
day
I
long.
don't think I would go that far because there is such a thing as privacy and security, but
Dang
I'm
it,
like,
Michael, now I'm not going to vote for you. I'm just teasing.
I'm like, you know, allow investigators. And it'd be funny too, the screening process for the investigators. Be
Oh
like,
yeah.
where are you from? What gear are you bringing in?
Sorry, nope, can't come.
Like, who would you range this through?
You have to do an Eventbrite.
So sis, do you have any more questions for Michael before we end the show?
Me? Nope, I think I'm good. Yeah.
Michael, is there anything that we didn't touch on that you want to bring up? Anything new that's happening that you want to share?
Well, actually, I do have on Saturday. I am moderating the group chat for a friend of mine, Gina Virginia Casella, doing a conference, and so I'm excited about that because she brings in great speakers, and it's like 8 a.m. Central Time to 5 p.m. or 5:30 p.m. Central Time. But she brings in a lot of great conversational presenters, and it kind of flows, and there's little breaks. And then I have my shows on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. Usually, just look for the energy that surrounds us and riding through the unknown. Paranormal Versus hopefully will be starting up soon. We've had a lot of personal stuff going on that's kind of prevented us from going. And oh yes, Paul Dale Roberts is starting a new show on the 15th, and I am a part of it. And
Nice.
so I'll be started to be seen with Paul Dale Roberts on a monthly paranormal podcast show.
Oh
And
wow.
Hercules Invictus, he does panel shows, and I make appearances on those. So you kind of got to watch my Facebook page because that's where those will get announced out. And let's see. Um, oh, in August, I believe on the 15th or 16th, I got to verify the date. I will be speaking at a conference a friend of mine is putting on. He's a podcaster, The Melted Broadcast. Tony is his name. And I will be doing a presentation about my experience in the dimensional forest. So
Oh,
feel
cool.
free to, I'll be posting that on my page. And I have a few investigations coming up. I am still investigating, so podcasting hasn't consumed my entire life just yet, but it's getting close. And so that's what I have going on in the next month or two.
Well, send us the information on all of those and we can post them on our page so that our membership can
Yeah.
be on the lookout for you too.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. Yeah. I have you on Facebook, so you just tag me and I just forward it out to everybody. Share
Exactly.
it.
Same here. I can do it on my Medium Red page as well.
That's a deal. I'll definitely keep that a lookout, and I probably will be writing myself a note to do that because I tend not to tag people because I don't want to get in trouble with Facebook.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, they're pretty strict nowadays. Yes. So,
Yeah.
but once you stay behind just a little bit while we end our podcast, and to everybody out there, jump over to the link tree, hook up with Michael, so you know all his stuff that he's on is coming up. Jump over to his Facebook page, subscribe to his YouTube, subscribe to our YouTube, share and like, And blessings, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.